The distress seal, the emergency beacon pierced the void of space, like a scream in the darkness. On Corvath Prime, Elder Scientist Thuvin's six-fingered hands trembled as he activated the ancient distress transmitter. Around him, the research station shuddered. Through the observation window, he watched another harvester machine tear through the outer districts of the capital city, its crystalline limbs dismantling buildings molecule by molecule. "This is Corvath Prime to any vessels in range," Thuvin broadcast, his translator crackling with static in desperation. "We are under attack. Civilian population of 4 billion. Requesting immediate assistance. We have children here. Please, anyone." The machines had appeared 3 cycles ago, sleek, efficient, and utterly merciless. They didn't communicate. They didn't negotiate. They simply consumed, converting matter into more of themselves with horrifying precision. The Corvathi military had lasted 18 hours. Thuvin sent the signal again. And again. And again. No one answered. 12,000 light-years away. The Galactic Assembly convened in their gleaming orbital station above the capital world of Nexus. Prime. Ambassador Kelvin of the Ithari Commonwealth called the emergency session to order with a resonant chime. 300 holographic representatives materialized around the circular chamber, species from across 47 star systems. "The matter before us," Kelvin began, his crystalline body refracting the chamber's light into rainbow patterns, "is the distress call from Corvath Prime. Our long-range sensors confirm the presence of multiple, self-replicating machines of unknown origin." "Unknown?" Counselor Vex of the Centauri Alliance interrupted, her scaled features twisting skeptically. "Our intelligence suggests these machines bear assembly design signatures." Uncomfortable silence filled the chamber. "That is unconfirmed," Kelvin said carefully. "Regardless, the Corvathi request military intervention. How many ships would we need to send?" Some would ask. "Preliminary estimates suggest a minimum of 40 cruisers, possibly more," reported Military Coordinator Thane. "Response time, 6 weeks to assemble the fleet, 3 weeks travel time." By then they'll all be dead," Vex finished coldly, "which conveniently erases any evidence of assembly involvement." "That's enough." Kelvin's voice crystallized sharply. "This council will not engage in conspiracy theories. The matter at hand is whether we can mount a timely rescue." The vote was called. The result was predictable. 300 representatives chose to send thoughts and prayers rather than ships. The Assembly would establish a task force to investigate, eventually, perhaps in 8 to 10 weeks, Thuvin's distress call continued broadcasting into the uncaring void, but someone was listening. The signal reached Earth's Orbital Defense Station. Sentinel-7 at 0347 hours. Greenwich Mean Time. Lieutenant Marcus Webb was 3 hours into a quiet night shift when his console erupted with activity. "Commander," he called out, "I'm picking up an emergency broadcast. Non-standard frequency. Ma'am, it's coming from beyond the quarantine zone." Commander Yuki Tanaka crossed the operations center in 3 strides. The quarantine zone 40 light-years of empty space. The Galactic Assembly had declared off-limits to humanity 2 centuries ago, after first contact had gone spectacularly wrong. Turns out, humans terrified the galaxy. They'd called Earth a death world, a planet, so hostile that its dominant species had evolved into something the rest of the civilized galaxy considered borderline psychotic. Humanity's idea of recreational activities included jumping out of aircraft for fun, deliberately poisoning themselves with ethanol, and creating art about their own mortality. When the Assembly discovered humans had nuclearized their own planet before achieving spaceflight, the decision was unanimous. Quarantine them before they hurt someone. "Play it," Tanaka ordered. Thuvin's voice filled the operations center. Even through the translator, the desperation was unmistakable. Children here. Please, anyone. This is Corvath Prime. We are dying. Please, God, Webb whispered. Tanaka's jaw tightened. Get me Admiral Chun. Now. Admiral Sarah Chun hadn't expected to be woken at 0400 hours. But 30 years in the Earth Defense Fleet had taught her that emergencies didn't respect sleep schedules. She materialized holographically in the operations. Sent her 12 minutes later. Still in her exercise clothes, sweat from her morning workout cooling on her skin. Show me, she said without preamble. The tactical display lit up. Corvath Prime appeared as a blue-green world, beautiful and doomed. Red symbols swarmed across its surface, hundreds of machine signatures, multiplying in real time. Self-replicating harvesters, Tanaka briefed. Military analysis suggests they're consuming raw materials to build more of themselves. At current growth rate, total planetary consumption in 72 hours. What's the assembly doing? According to their public broadcasts? Convening a committee. Chun's expression could have frozen stars. They're letting them die. Ma'am, we're talking about billions of civilians. And there's something else. Tanaka pulled up enhanced scans of the harvester machines. These design signatures. RA recognizes them. They match assembly manufacturing patterns from 40 years ago, a weapons development program that was supposedly shut down. The assembly built these things, Chun said flatly, and lost control of them. Yes, ma'am. For 10 seconds, the only sound was the hum of the station's environmental systems. Sarah Chun stared at the display, at the desperate planet beyond the quarantine zone, at the numbers counting down to extinction. She thought about the treaties, the agreements. 2 centuries of humanity, proving they could be trusted, could be civilized, could follow the rules. She thought about 4 billion people who had hours to live. She thought about what kind of species let children die because of bureaucracy. Sound General Quarters. Admiral Chun ordered. Scramble the Third Fleet. Full battle configuration. Ma'am, Tanaka said carefully, crossing the quarantine zone is a treaty violation. The assembly could interpret this as an act of war. Then they can file a complaint. After we save those people. Chun's eyes blazed. Humanity has spent 200 years proving we're not monsters. I'll be damned if we prove it by becoming cowards instead. Get me the indomitable, the relentless, and every carrier group we can launch in the next 30 minutes. The assembly will respond with force. Let them try. Chun's voice carried the weight of command. We didn't ask permission to evolve on a death world. We don't need permission to do what's right. 18 hours later, Thuven was preparing to evacuate the last group of children from the research station when his console erupted with proximity. Alerts. His heart sank. More harvesters. But the sensor signature was wrong. These weren't the cold mathematical patterns of the machines. These were warm, powerful, and moving with purpose. Ships emerging from jump space, his assistant gasped. Multiple signatures. I count. Elder. I count 37 vessels. Cruiser class and larger. The view screen activated automatically as the newcomers. Broadcast identification signals. Thuven's. Breath caught in his throat. Ships were like nothing he'd ever seen, angular and aggressive, covered in weapon systems and armor plating that suggested their builders expected to be shot at regularly. Each vessel bore the same symbol, a blue-green planet with a single natural satellite, Earth. This is Admiral Sarah Chun of the Earth Defense Fleet to Corvath Prime. A voice crackled through the CUM system. The translator struggled with the accent. These were humans, the quarantined Deathworlders. We received your distress call. Hold position. The cavalry has arrived, but... Thuven whispered, watching as the human fleet moved into formation with practiced precision. But no one was supposed to answer... Ah. Asterisk, the lead ship, a massive dreadnought called Indomitable, pivoted toward the harvester swarm descending on the capital city. Its weapon ports blazed to life. All hands. Admiral Chun's voice echoed across all frequencies. This is not a drill. Unknown hostiles have attacked a civilian population. Rules of engagement are weapons-free. Show them why you don't threaten the innocent while humanity is watching. The harvesters detected the new arrivals and recalculated. 300 machines turned in perfect synchronization toward the human fleet. They had no concept of fear, no understanding of hesitation. They were about to learn that humanity had evolved both, and then evolved past them. The battle for Corvath Prime was about to begin. Asterisk. The Arisi KO-9G, the harvester, swarm moved like a plague of metal locusts. 300 machines accelerating toward the human fleet with cold mathematical precision. Each unit was the size of a frigate, their crystalline bodies refracting starlight into prismatic death as conversion beams charged. Admiral Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, hands clasped behind her back, watching the tactical display with the calm of someone who had seen worse odds. "Ma'am, they're not attempting communication," reported Commander Park from Tactical. "No hails, no warnings. Just direct approach. They're machines," Chun said. "They don't negotiate. They calculate." She leaned forward slightly. "Weapons Officer Grant, are our friends ready?" Lieutenant Grant's smile was predatory. "Railgun batteries charged and hungry, ma'am. Missile pods are hot. Point defense grid is active. And the hammerheads are itching to launch. Then let's teach these machines something about apex predators." Chun's voice carried across the fleet command channel. "All ships engage at will. Show them what evolution on Earth really means." The Indomitable opened fire. Humanity had spent 2 centuries in isolation, perfecting the art of warfare. While the Galactic Assembly relied on energy shields and plasma weapons, elegant, efficient, civilized humans had taken a different approach. If it worked, make it bigger. If it didn't work, hit it harder. Railgun rounds, tungsten carbide penetrators, accelerated to 3% of light speed, tore through the harvester formation like hammers through glass. The machine's adaptive armor, designed to dissipate energy weapons, had no answer for 60 kilograms of metal moving at 9,000 kilometers per second. The first harvester exploded in a shower of crystalline fragments. Then the second. The third. Direct hits, Grant reported with satisfaction. Their armor's optimized for energy absorption. They're not built for kinetic impacts. Probably because no civilized species still uses kinetic weapons, Chun muttered. Good thing we're not civilized. Launch hammerheads. Beneath the Indomitable, launch bays opened. The Hammerhead-class fighters, stubby, heavily armed craft that looked like flying wedges of aggression, roared into the void. 60 fighters from each carrier, 3 carriers in the fleet. 180 human pilots screaming toward the enemy at full burn. The harvesters recalculated, split their formation, attempted to surround the human fighters, using superior numbers. The pilots laughed and activated their afterburners. On Corvath Prime, Elder Thuvan watched the battle unfold with a mixture of terror and awe. "The humans fight like they're insane," his assistant breathed. "No," Thuvan corrected, unable to look away from the display. "They fight like they've been doing this for their entire evolutionary history. Look at their tactics. The Hammerhead fighters weren't trying to outmaneuver the harvesters. They were diving straight into them, using their superior acceleration to close distance before the machines could adapt. At point-blank range, they unleashed volleys of missiles and autocannon fire. A harvester latched onto one fighter with a conversion beam. The human pilot didn't try to escape Dot. Instead, he accelerated directly toward another harvester, ramming his dying fighter into it at full thrust. Both machines detonated in a bloom of fire. Target destroyed. The pilot's voice crackled over the comm before his ejection pod rocketed clear. Someone buy me a beer when we get home. These humans are mad, the assistant whispered. Yes, Thuven agreed. Mad enough to answer when no one else would. Aboard the Indomitable, the battle map was turning in humanity's favor. The Harvester's numbers were dropping rapidly. 270, 250, 220. Ma'am, Commander Park called out. Sensors are detecting a larger signature emerging from the debris field over the third continent. Jesus, it's massive. Reading at least 5 times the size of our dreadnought. The Harvester command ship rose from the planetary surface like a metal god, trailing clouds of atomized matter. Its surface bristled with weapon ports and manufacturing bays where new Harvester units were being assembled in real time. That's how they've been multiplying so fast, Chun realized. Mobile factory ship. Take it out, and we stop the production line. It's charging weapons, Park warned. Energy signature is off the scale. The command ship fired. A beam of coherent energy, enough to vaporize a city lanced across space toward the Indomitable. The dreadnought shields flared, held for 3 seconds, then shattered like glass. Alarms screamed across the bridge. Hull breach on decks 7 through 9. Someone shouted. Casualties reported? Chun's jaw clenched. All ships, concentrate fire on that command vessel. Grant, I want every railgun we have loaded with penetrator rounds. Park, get me a firing solution. Ma'am, at this distance, even our railguns will take 40 seconds to reach target. That thing will tear us apart. Then we'd better make those 40 seconds count. Chun opened the fleet-wide channel. All carriers, launch everything. I want that command ship buried under so much ordnance it can't see us to shoot. Cruisers, form defensive screen. We're going to punch through and take that thing apart from the inside. The fleet responded instantly. Every fighter, every missile, every drone humanity had brought to this fight surged toward the Harvester command ship in a wave of metal and fury. The command ship's point defense systems activated, filling space with energy beams that swatted human weapons from the void. Fighters died. Missiles detonated prematurely. Drones spun away as molten debris. But for every weapon destroyed, 2 more got through. 40 seconds, Park counted down. 35, 30. The command ship's main weapon charged for another shot. The Indomitable wouldn't survive a second hit. Asterisk, 20 seconds. Chun watched her people die on the tactical display. Watched fighters evaporate under Harvester fire. Watched the command ship's weapon capacitors reach critical charge. 10 seconds. Ma'am, it's going to fire before we do. All power to forward shields, Shen ordered calmly. Crew, brace for impact. The command ship fired Dot at the same moment. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, who had first detected the Korvathi distress signal, did something either brilliant or suicidal. He triggered his fighter's warp drive at point blank. Range to the energy beam, the localized space-time. Distortion bent the beam's trajectory by 3 degrees. Just enough. Shot missed the Indomitable by 200 meters. Close enough that the heat bloom scorched the dreadnought's hull plating. Fire! Chun roared. Asterisk, every railgun in the fleet discharged simultaneously. Dozens of tungsten penetrators crossed the distance at relativistic speeds and punched through the command ships. Hull like needles through paper, the Harvester command ship had been designed to withstand energy weapons, plasma bombardment, even nuclear detonations. It had been built by the finest engineers. In the galactic assembly dot, it had not been designed to survive the focused rage of a species that had evolved by throwing rocks at its predators. The command ship came apart in sections. Its core reactor, reaching in a flash that briefly outshone Corvath's sun. The shockwaves scattered the remaining harvesters like leaves in a hurricane. "Cease fire," Chun ordered quietly. "All ships status report." The numbers came in. 3 fighters lost. 2 cruisers heavily damaged. 147 casualties. 4 billion Corvathi survivors dot in the wreckage of the command ship. The indomitable salvage teams found what they expected: manufacturing data, schematics, and communication logs. All of it stamped with Galactic Assembly authorization codes. "They built these things 40 years ago," Commander Park reported, scanning through the recovered files. "Project Prometheus automated peacekeeping units designed to suppress dangerous civilizations." The program was classified, then supposedly shut down when someone realized the machines couldn't be controlled. "Supposedly," Chun repeated darkly. "Send everything we found to the Assembly's public news networks. All of it. Let the galaxy see what their council has been hiding." 3 days later, Elder Thuven stood in the ruins of his research station, watching the human ships prepare to depart. The evacuation was complete. The survivors were safe in temporary shelters built by human engineering teams with disturbing efficiency. Admiral Chun had beamed down personally to oversee the relief operations. "Why?" Thuven asked her simply. "Your species was quarantined, isolated. We were told humans were dangerous, unpredictable. Why risk everything to save us?" Chun considered the question. Around them, human soldiers distributed medical supplies and prefabricated housing units. A Marine was teaching a group of Corvathi children some kind of clapping game, their laughter the first joyful sound on the planet in days. "You know what they say about humans?" Chun asked finally. "That we evolved on a death world. That we're violent, aggressive, that we glorify warfare and death." "Yes," Thuven said quietly. "They're not wrong," Chun admitted. "Earth is a nightmare planet by galactic standards. Everything on it is trying to kill everything else. We evolved as persistence predators. We literally chased our prey until it died of exhaustion. We developed abstract reasoning not for art or philosophy, but to build better weapons. We're wired for violence in ways the rest of the galaxy finds horrifying." She turned to look at him, her eyes hard but not unkind. "But they forget something important. We also evolved pack bonding, empathy, the ability to look at something completely alien to us and say, 'That thing needs help.' We developed art and philosophy alongside those weapons. We learned to extend our pack to include anything that can't defend itself." She gestured to her fleet. "That's what makes us dangerous, Elder Thuven. Not that we're good at violence. That we're capable of violence and chose compassion anyway." Thuven's hands trembled. "The Assembly will punish you for breaking quarantine. Let them try." Chun's smile was sharp. "We've got the evidence of their illegal weapons program. We've got testimony from 4 billion grateful survivors. And we've got a fleet that just proved Deathworlders are exactly who you want on your side when monsters come calling." She looked up at her ships, at the symbol of Earth emblazoned on their hulls. "The galaxy spent 2 centuries being afraid of us. Maybe it's time they learn to be grateful instead." HFY Loj Youth data Chun released couldn't be suppressed. Within days, every species in the Assembly had seen the proof of Project Prometheus. Riots broke out on Nexus Prime. Council members resigned. Investigations were launched, and everywhere, species that had voted to ignore the Corvathi distress call found themselves answering uncomfortable questions from their citizens. Why didn't we help? Why did it take the quarantined Deathworlders to do the right thing? The Assembly's response to humanity's treaty violation was complicated. Officially, there were stern reprimands and strongly worded letters. Unofficially, 36 species quietly reached out to Earth, requesting diplomatic relations. On Corvath Prime, They built a monument where the research station had stood, a simple stone marker inscribed in 30 languages. When the galaxy turned away, the humans stood up. Remember this day? Remember who came when we called. And in Earth's orbital shipyards, Admiral Chun watched the construction of a new fleet, larger, faster, more powerful. What are you naming them, Mom? Commander Park asked. Chun smiled. The Corvath class. Let the galaxy remember what happens when you ask humanity for help. We don't do half measures. The first ship launched 3 months later, its name etched in steel across the bow, thundering kindness. Behind it, 36 sister ships followed, each carrying the same message. Humanity had evolved on a death world. They knew how to kill better than anyone. But they'd also learned when not, too, and the galaxy would never underestimate that combination again. Asterisk.